Most people don't realize how much of their daily suffering is self-inflicted. Not because they're weak, not because they're doing something wrong, but because they're spending emotional energy trying to control things they never owned in the first place. They're trying to control the weather of life, other people's moods, other people's opinions, the outcome of a conversation, the timing of success, the past, the future, the way reality should behave. And when reality refuses to cooperate, which it always does, we call it stress. We call it anxiety. We call it frustration. We call it burnout. Stoicism has a solution that's simple enough to miss. It's called the Dichotomy of Control. And if you actually practice it, not just understand it, it becomes one of the most freeing mental skills you can learn. Here's the idea. Life can be divided into two categories: things that are up to you and things that are not. That's it. But the power comes from what the Stoics meant by those two categories. Because to a Stoic, what's up to you is smaller than you think. It's not your reputation. It's not your comfort. It's not whether people approve of you. What's up to you is this: your judgments, your choices, your values, your actions, your effort, your character. Everything else, outcomes included, is not fully yours. And this is where most people fight the lesson. Because they hear it as, so, I shouldn't care. No, Stoicism doesn't teach you not to care. It teaches you where caring is useful and where it becomes self-harm. It teaches you to stop bleeding internally over things you can't steer. A Stoic still loves, still aims, still works, still builds. They just stop demanding guarantees from the universe. And to understand why the Stoics were so intense about this, it helps to start with one man. His name was Epictetus. Epictetus was not a powerful emperor. He wasn't wealthy. He wasn't protected. Epictetus was born into slavery. He lived under the authority of someone else. He could be ordered around, punished, humiliated, and yet, somehow, he became one of the clearest Stoic teachers who ever lived. There's a story about Epictetus that captures the entire philosophy in one moment. His owner was angry, and in the middle of that anger, he grabbed Epictetus and began twisting his leg. Epictetus calmly warned him, "If you keep twisting it, you'll break it." The owner kept twisting. The bones snapped, and Epictetus, still calm, said, "I told you that you would break it." Think about what that requires. That isn't numbness. That isn't weakness. That's discipline. That's a man who understood something most people never learn. You can lose comfort. You can lose status. You can lose freedom. You can lose your body. But if you keep control of your mind, your judgment, your choices, your character, you remain free in the only way that truly matters. Epictetus taught that the only thing truly yours is your faculty of choice. That inner ability to decide what you stand for and how you respond, no matter what happens outside you. He would say, if you mistake external things for yours, you'll be anxious, because you'll build your peace on top of something you cannot protect. But if you build your peace on your choices, something no one can take without your permission, you become unshakable. Now, that sounds dramatic, but this isn't just for extreme situations like slavery. This plays out in tiny moments every day. A message left unread, a rude stranger, a plan that falls apart, a friend who drifts, a video that doesn't perform, a job interview that goes cold, a person who doesn't see your intentions. Every day, life offers you a test, Will you try to control what isn't yours, or will you focus on what is? Here's what the Stoics do differently. When something hits them, something stressful, unfair, or unpredictable, they run it through a filter. Is this up to me or not? If it's up to them, they act. If it isn't, they release it and act where they can. This sounds obvious, but most people don't do it. Most people do the opposite. They spend all their energy on what they can't control and then feel powerless. Then they neglect what they can control and feel ashamed. Stoicism flips that, and nobody shows that flip better than Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius was the most powerful man in the world, an emperor of Rome. But his life wasn't a smooth ride. He dealt with war, betrayal, political pressure, disease, and he wrote private journal entries to himself, what we now call meditations, trying to stay sane in the middle of it. And you can feel what he's doing in those pages. He's constantly dragging his attention back to the controllable, back to his own mind, back to his character. Because even as emperor, he couldn't control the empire the way people think. He couldn't control death. He couldn't control other people's choices. He couldn't control whether history would admire him or mock him. So he trained himself to stop begging for control and start practicing virtue. He would remind himself over and over, you can't control what happens, but you can control what you do with what happens. And there's a simple Stoic line that captures it. The obstacle is the way, meaning the thing in front of you isn't stopping you, it's shaping you. The delay is training patience. The insult is training restraint. The setback is training endurance. The uncertainty is training courage. The Stoics don't ask, why is this happening to me? They ask, what does this allow me to practice? That question alone can change your life, because it turns problems into reps. Now, let's talk about one of the most misunderstood Stoic ideas. Stoics aren't trying to control their emotions by crushing them. They're trying to control their judgments, because judgments create emotions. A lot of pain doesn't come from events. It comes from the story we attach to events. Someone cancels plans. The event is, plans changed. The story is, they don't respect me. I'm not important. This always happens. I'm being rejected. And suddenly, you're not reacting to reality. You're reacting to a narrative your mind wrote in real time. Stoicism teaches you to pause and separate. That's where your power lives. And Seneca, another Stoic, gives a perfect example of this. Seneca was wealthy, influential, and deeply involved in Roman politics. But he also lived with constant instability, because politics can turn on you overnight. He wrote about fear, anger, loss, and uncertainty in a way that still feels modern. And one of his key lessons was this: we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Meaning, the mind rehearses pain that never arrives. It runs disaster simulations constantly, and the Stoic response isn't stop imagining. It's bring the mind back under command. Ask, is this happening right now? Is this fully within my control? What is the next right action? Now here's where this becomes a voice in your head you can actually use. Next time you're stressed, try this Stoic practice. Name the thing bothering you clearly. Then say, what part of this is mine? Not the outcome, not the other person, not the universe. What part is yours? Your tone, your choices, your effort, your integrity. Then do that part well, and let the rest be what it is. This is what Stoics mean by peace. Peace isn't everything goes your way. Peace is you stop demanding that everything goes your way. And that leads to one of the deepest Stoic lessons. You can do everything right and still lose. You can be kind and still be misunderstood. You can work hard and still fail. You can prepare and still be surprised. Most people can't tolerate that, so they try to control outcomes. They become attached. They become desperate. They become anxious. Stoicism gives you a different goal. Not "I must win," but "I must be excellent." Excellence is always available, no matter what happens. And that's why Stoicism is so useful in modern life. Because modern life is full of outcome addiction. We measure ourselves by results we don't fully control. Views, likes, money, approval, status, validation. Stoicism asks, what if you measured yourself by something you do control? Your discipline, your honesty, your courage, your consistency. What if the goal became, I will show up with character and let the results take care of themselves? That's not passive, that's powerful, because it makes you harder to manipulate. If praise controls you, people can control you. If criticism controls you, people can control you. If outcomes control you, life controls you. Stoicism is about reclaiming the steering wheel. Imagine two people stuck in traffic. Same delay, same situation. Person one is furious. They're pounding the steering wheel. They're muttering. They're imagining being late. They're imagining judgment. They're blaming the city, the drivers, the world. Their body is in fight or flight over something they can't change. Person two is also annoyed. They're human, but they do something different. They recognize this is not up to me. So they shift to what is up to me. They control their breathing. They send a quick message, running late. They put on something useful, a podcast, a lesson, silence, same event, different judgment, different life. And this is the point. Stoicism doesn't remove problems from your life. It removes the second arrow. The first arrow is what happens. The second arrow is what you add. The mental suffering, the resistance, the panic. The Stoics train you to stop firing the second arrow at yourself. Now, here's the final piece. And this is the part most people skip. You can't just agree with Stoicism. You have to practice it. So here's a short daily Stoic drill you can actually do. Once a day, when something irritates you, something small, pause. Say, not mine. Not mine to control. Not mine to own. Not mine to be ruled by. Then immediately ask, what's mine? And do that. It could be as small as choosing not to snap at someone, choosing to breathe before reacting, choosing to do the next task with focus, choosing to be the kind of person you respect. If you do that consistently, you'll notice something strange. Life doesn't become easier. You become stronger. You become clearer. You become less dragged around by every random moment. And eventually, you start feeling something rare. A calm that doesn't depend on good news. A steadiness that isn't allergic to uncertainty. That's Stoicism, not the aesthetic, not the quotes, not the alpha internet version. Real Stoicism is a quiet kind of power. It's the ability to meet life as it is, without surrendering your character. So here's the lesson to end on. You don't control what happens. You control what it means. You control what you do next. You control who you become because of it. And if you can learn to put your energy only where it can actually change something, your life gets lighter. Not because the world becomes gentle, but because you stop trying to carry what was never yours.